female inmates. How do you think your prison experience was different from what you have heard about male prisoners' experiences? Okay, as apparently the only actual female prison inmate on Reddit, it is much different than male prison. I was in prison for 2.5 months last year. My ex was in prison for 16 months. In women's prison, while there is still violence, there's less violence, and it's usually over girlfriends. Men's prison has major race gang activity, women's prison really doesn't. If anyone acts in a racist way, they're getting the shit knocked out of them. Rapists and child abusers get the fuck knocked out of them in both male and female prisons. Absolutely nobody tolerates that shit. There's a lot more gay for the stay type shit going on in women's prison, but for the women who are fully straight and not interested, that's mostly respected. Yeah, you'll still have some disrespectful hoes acting like men, hitting on you and trying to convince you to give them a chance, but as long as you're firm about your boundaries and not being interested, they'll back off. Women are just as catty in prison as they are outside of it, but it's a little worse, because almost everyone that's in prison has had some kind of trauma/abuse in their past that affects their mental health and makes them act in ridiculous ways, which is how they ended up in prison in the first place. There are a lot of trans men and women in there, and I don't really know how it differs from men's prison. I didn't ask the ex if there were any trans women there, but at least in women's prison they didn't keep us separate and everyone was completely cool with it. Nobody got harassed. Honestly, it was really chill. You just have to be respectful of other people and their property, but also not trust anyone and keep your shit locked up because you're in prison. I got locked up in women's prison when I was 21. When you first get there they ask if you're addicted to anything. If you said benzos or alcohol, they dosed you up with 4 milligrams of Klonopin a day. Anyone who's been there before knows this, so for the first 2 weeks when I was in the drug treatment area for other things, I didn't know about the Klonopin. Things were very chill. There was a few verbal fights, but kind of a camaraderie between the women, like, we're all just addicts trying to get through this together. We had groups and AA. It was a daily thing for all, which was most except me, the women with children, to break down crying about missing them and how they'd literally anything for their kids now that they're sober. You were in a trailer with 2 floors. There was rooms with 4 bunks in them and a community bathroom with individual showers. Lots of hooking up in the bathroom stalls and showers. Something really weird, every few days they passed out electric shavers. There was one for each bunk, and there would be a line of girls using these old shavers to dry shave their legs and pubes in the bathroom. Some of them would flip them and use the non-cutting side as a vibrator/dildo on others. Fucking gross. I never even considered shaving. There was a microwave you could sometimes use and access to hot water to make noodles and coffee. They gave out stamps, paper and pens to write home if you asked, and gave you pads, 1 roll of toilet paper, ghetto shampoo, soap, toothbrush, paste. During rec time you could walk around the compound, but there were also classes like yoga, AA, Zumba, gym, library, etc. After 2 weeks there I got moved to the maximum security part. Here you were in a high-tech building with 1 bunk in each room and locked in for most of the day, or else you could go in the community room and watch TV a few hours a day. No more access to hot water. Women who didn't pay a fine were locked up with baby killers. They were the most shunned. One baby killer got attacked because she asked for my oatmeal I wasn't eating. No more classes of any kind. You had to be there for over 5 years to be put in the trailers by where the drug program was. They even had dogs and could go to the library and pick out books instead of just picking from books left behind. I saw a girl almost die getting her face smashed into a metal door frame. Lots of fights. It really was awful. This is getting long, so I'm gonna stop, but if anyone has questions I'm happy to answer. I can actually answer this speaking factually correct according to PA jails. My BF and I were both imprisoned at the same time when I was 19 for narcotics. I was met by 2 females I knew who gave me extra socks and helped me find comfort while awaiting sentencing. I was scared to come out of my cell and read mostly, but they helped me feel not alone. The woman played cards and watched cops mostly, staying off in their own groups. My BF at the time did not get such a warm welcome but was met by another male he knew to help him as well. From what they both tell me, there was immediately a sizing up that happened with some of the guys where they had to talk out of a fight. The men were hostile and rude to each other's cliques. They too played cards and watched TV, but not quietly together like the women, and a lot of punking or shit-talking day in and out. Yeah, definitely this. In the men's system here, when they go into reception, they're on 24 hours lockdown and everyone is treated as level 4 inmates until they're classed, 2 men to a cell. Women's reception is dorm-style housing and run pretty much as it would be at level 1 or 2 while you get classed? Sorry, by that I mean their security rating. You get classified as level 1, the lowest security level with the most privileges, up to level 3, 4, 5, whatever your state's highest level is. I assume all states have their security levels ranked the same. I, too, have spent time in prison. I have been out now for 10 years, but I was in for 32 months. Female prisoners set up family units. There will be a husband/dad, wife/mom, children, etc. These family units, in my experience, are mostly platonic but at times are centered around a pseudo-relationship. There are a lot of gay for the stay women, but I would imagine that is the same with the men. With women, you don't typically see the gang violence, racial divides or violence against those in for sex crimes unless the woman is a predator-type offender. What you do see is prejudice against those who kill, abuse or abandon their own children. The women serving time for those crimes generally need protective custody. In my opinion, women can be petty, mean, prone to drama and just in general difficult to get along with. Put 80 or so women in one open-style dorm setting and the bullying and constant drama will ensue. I have never been so thankful for silence as I was the day I finally got home. I live in the US, so I would be curious to know if any other country has different experiences. Hi, yes. There were definitely family units, and definitely platonic. That was pretty nice tbh. This silent one coming home was amazing. I stayed locked up in my room for so long it actually really upset my mom, and she yelled at me that I was keeping myself in prison, and I had to explain to her that I was doing the exact opposite because in prison I had absolutely no privacy and no silence. I was isolating myself to restore my mental health. COOs here who has worked majority male prison but also female. The former prisoner and others have pretty much covered it and are very insightful. They female prisoners are across the board much more entitled, do not handle being told no as well as male prisoners. They talk to staff a lot and get pissed if you call them by their last name, and as other posters have said are at a much higher chance of having experienced trauma. Arguably though, I've yet to meet many male prisoners that have been exempt from traumatic and violent upbringings. A lot of these people are from similar suburbs and know each other, etc. And yes, surprisingly, male prisoners are usually pretty clean compared to female. You always get the odd chatty crumb, but most keep their church cell in very good order or will follow directions to clean their cell if it gets below standard. We also don't chop up hot dogs here. I haven't heard of this. But this is Australia, so may be different to other countries, as with some other cultural nuances. I visited the largest female prison in a state in the southeast US. The women got new release DVDs every Tuesday. They had a service dog that was supposedly there to help like 3 of the inmates put their shoes on. They had a full kitchen and were cooking up a storm when we went through. They had access to a ball sport of some kind, and I even learned about banana trees from a couple of them. Lol. It wasn't just the minimum security section either, that was the prison. We also visited death row though, like 8 women. They didn't have access to the stuff I described, but their cells/rooms were like little apartments. Fridges, TVs and all. I work in a facility which has the highest security women's mental health rehab in my state. The women are the more violent and less clean than the men. Less cooperative with staff as well. Thank you a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.